Wow, live. Great. Hello, everyone. Is there anyone in the house? So if you're just joining, just let me know by you indicating your name. Yeah, thank you. I'm here waiting for you all. Welcome, everyone. I see a number of people already here. So let me welcome you by you telling me your name and where you are joining us from. I'm very, very super excited to be here today. So, where are you joining us from? And what is your name? And so I can acknowledge your presence. So, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. So, welcome everyone. So, if you can see me, please put a. Oh, okay, Adetokunbo. We are waiting for you here. Welcome. All right. Adetokunbo, I think you can click on speak. Let me see if I can invite you in as a speaker. Caller from Lagos, thank you for joining. So let me know. Okay, Ifeyiwa from Asaba. How is Asaba, Ife? Welcome, welcome. Okay, I think I can see Detokumbo. I'm accepting you, so I think it will give you some prompts. So if it gives you some prompts, please follow the prompts and see whether you can join. You have probably joined using the attendee link. So please let me know where you are joining us from, the name, and where you are joining us from, while we wait for our presenter who is trying to log in. I'm super excited to be here because we have ICAN students that want to pass their exam. Yeah, my name is Tayo Stephen. I'm the CEO for Starry Academy. So I'm quite excited to be here, seeing our students. Yeah, Benga from Oyo. Which part of Oyo? Which town, Benga from Oyo? Yeah, let me know where you are joining us from. So we are putting all of this together for a simple reason. And I will give you the reason. Many years ago, yeah, I'm a child accountant by profession. Yeah, I got qualified in 1997. Oyo town. OYO. On your own. So how is your town this afternoon? I hope um, it's okay. Or this evening, Abby, depending on the time zone. All right. Yeah, somebody, yeah, our presenter have joined the room. All right. Ah, he has left again. What happened? All right. Angela Ibe from Abuja. That is the city of power. How is our head of state, our senators? Sure, you are able to say hello to them, Angela. Welcome. Aziz from Akure. How is Akure today? I hope there is peace around you. Okay, so um, when I was preparing for this exam many years ago, our presenter seems to be having some challenge. Let's hope we can get that sorted out soon. When I was preparing for this exam many years ago, like I told you I qualified in 1997. One thing our lecturer told us then that remained with me till date was that brilliant students fail ICAN exams. And over the years, we've been coaching, we've produced so many chartered accountants, so many. And we have seen a few students fail the exam also. So, and we've done survey, we've called, we phone, we call our students, what happened? They give us this. Um, some of them say they don't know what happened. Some of them, please remember to leave your name there. I want to acknowledge everybody that is on this call. I want to acknowledge your presence, your name and where you are joining us from. So some of them say they left the exam or they wrote everything they know and they still fail. ICAN is wicked. They don't know why they failed. So we want to put that myth aside that ICAN is not out to fail anybody. Believe it or not, they are not there to fail anybody. So I'll give us a small preambles. In 2014, right? In 2014, ICAN started a new syllabus. Yeah, Adetokunbo, I've accepted you again. Please follow the prompts. Hopefully it will go through. So I can change the syllabus to what we have now. And before then, we were having foundation, PE1, PE2, and I think PE3. But this time they now changed to foundation, skill, and professional. So they invited ICAEW. ICAEW is Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales. Yeah, of course, in the UK. Those are the people that I think the syllabus was funded by the World Bank, if I'm not mistaken. Please indicate your name and where you are joining us from. I will come back and acknowledge you. I can see that coming in. So they help ICAN in structuring the current syllabus that we have. And so the ICAN syllabus will be updated more frequently as we go along. And when you say they are asking things outside the syllabus, well, maybe in the past, I don't know, but as at now, no, because I can have had alliance with ICAEW. If you are a chartered accountant and you have 5 years experience, you will be exempted all the papers in ICAEW, all of them, and you will do one course we call case study, and then you will have the certification of ICAEW, which you can use to work in the UK. So please put down your name and let me know if you are hearing me also. So Esther from Warri. How is Warri? Esther. Oriyomi, you are from where? Please let us know where you are joining us from. Oriyomi is from Lagos. So they have what we call marking scheme. So those ICAEW, they did some training for ICAN markers, examiners, and so on. So that ICAN exam standard will be up to date with what ICAEW is up to, just like ACCA and CIMA, right? So, all right. So we're going to start because my Adetokunbo is having challenge. So let me see. Let me start by sharing my screen, and then he will pick up whenever he joins. All right. So if you can see my screen, please indicate by saying yes, I can see your screen. If you can see my screen, please indicate by saying yes, I can see your screen. If you can see my screen, please indicate by saying yes, I can see your screen so that I can get the feedback. Let me know that I'm not the only one in the room. I have students here. So is anybody going to give me that feedback? So I'm waiting. I need feedback to be sure you can see what I'm sharing. Okay, Oriyomi, thank you. Ineka, thank you very much. Okay, Angela, thank you. So ICAN Exam Success Webinar, Corporate Strategic Management and Ethics. This is powered by Starry Academy. Like I said earlier on, many students leave the exam hall and they don't know why they fail. Others will say, look, the person that I'm teaching, that I used to teach, passed the exam. Why me, that is the teacher, I failed? Why? So, and others will say, it is God, oh, I don't even know how I passed. I just know I went in and I came out. Well, the truth of the matter is that there are some things that you did right. Like I told us earlier, when I was doing this exam, a lecturer used to say, you know, the big four, the big audit firm, they employ, you can't enter the big four unless you have first class and 2-1 in the university. And as at that time, they don't employ HNGs. But that may have changed now. But you see, around that time also, just a moment, around that time also, right? Um, so to enter was very competitive, very, very competitive. So if you are not a first class material or 2-1, you can't enter the big four, the big audit firm, right? They call them the big four, the big largest one. The likes of Akitola Williams, the likes of KPMG, the likes of PwC, and so on and so forth. You cannot really enter. So, but what used to amuse us, because we all meet, we all meet in the class, and I was an average student. What used to amaze us is that those people from the big four, they failed the exam. And so the lecturer was saying it's not only because you are brilliant you pass the exam. No, ICAN is not testing for brilliance alone. They are testing for a lot of things like speech. They are testing for time management. They are checking your legibility, presentation, your reasoning, and all of that. All right. So they are checking for all of this. So they are checking for all of that. So let me go on. So that's what has motivated us to come up, because you can pass this exam by understanding the techniques and all the rest that you need. So what's our agenda? The first one we have here is effective time management. So we want to look at how effective are you going to be in the exam. So we're going to address that today. Then reviewing and understanding and analyzing question requirement carefully. You see, the exam is all about question. And if you are not, what you meet in the exam is question. So you have to understand the question. You have to analyze it, and you have to answer it based on the requirements. And if you don't answer the question based on the requirements, you are likely to fail that exam, no matter what you write. So sometimes you have written volumes, but you have written the wrong answer, or you have not really met the specification of the examiner. And the last one here is structuring answers to earn more mark, right? I will also look at easy marks, easy marks. Okay, so understanding the question, what we have done is we have brought out so many verbs that you will find in the exam. How some question will say apply, some will say evaluate, some will say summarize, some will say briefly discuss, some will say some will tell you to examine, some will tell you to distinguish, some will tell you to recommend, some will tell you to compare, some will tell you to calculate, illustrate, explain, some will tell you to recommend, and so on and so forth. So what do all this terminology mean when you get to the exam hall? So yeah, so if you go into the exam hall and you see a question that says apply, what does it mean? It means that this entails putting into action the law requirements in a given case scenario. You are going to relate the authority you have used in the facts of the case. So it means therefore that you have mostly case study, right? Mostly cases in the exam. It means therefore that you are going to relate what you have seen there, and you are going to apply it by giving by citing the authority in that case. All right. Okay. Just a moment. Let me check something here. Oh, okay. Adetokunbo is here now. All right. So you're welcome. I guess you can hear me, Adetokunbo. Can you? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome. So I think you can go ahead and share your screen. I've already done all the introduction and about starting, then you came in. So I can hear you clearly. Okay, so if you are just joining us, please remember to put your name and where you are joining us from by the right hand side in the comment section. Then, if you have any question, particularly that is peculiar to you, you can also please put your question there. We're not treating exam questions here. We're just going to look broadly at exam technique before the exam, while you are in the exam hall, what should you do, and after the exam. So we're going to look at that. I remember one of the days that I was going for the exam. I don't, I
That is
think I remember
proper.
I got there late. And you see, when you are running very much, please, I will join shortly. Okay. When you are running to the exam and you get there late, you see yourself panting, panting, and before you know, everything you have read will just fly off the window. So you want to make sure you get there on time. So all right. So while we're waiting for Ade Tokumbo to get himself ready, oh okay, he has left again. Um, what happened again? Okay, just a moment, please. Just a moment, people. You know, this is technology. Our presenter is appearing to have some challenge. Um, it's appearing to have some challenges, but while we're waiting for him, I can still go back and share my screen. So, like I said, this slide will be available for us by the end. For those who registered, you're going to have the slide. I think I need to increase this so that okay. Um, okay, I think this look a little bit bigger and something like that. Okay. Okay, so when the examiner is saying access, like I have on the screen here, it means this entails determining the strength, the weakness, the importance, the significance to the given question. So it means that you should do what? You should examine the strengths. The strengths here may be the advantages, the weaknesses might be the disadvantages, the importance and significance will be the usefulness of what the examiner is talking about here. So there's an exam type question here. Technology is one of the critical features of the 21st century. Here it's saying assess the impact of technology on businesses, especially in the underdeveloped community. So what are we asking? What are we asked to do in this question? We're asked to assess the impact. So to assess that, it means that you should tell the strength of technology. You should tell about the and shortcoming of technology. For instance, the strength of technology is why we are here today using this, running this webinar. We are all in our various home or offices or wherever we are. So are there other strengths to that? Of course, you can say that. Yeah. What about not paying for transportation? It reduces cost and all of that. So when you itemize all these strengths, right, you go and talk about the weakness. What are the weaknesses? One of them is what we are seeing here now. Our one of my co-presenter is having challenges joining. So you see him come, you see him leave, right? You see him come, you see him leave. So that's one of the
Hello, good
weakness. Okay, it's back again.
afternoon.
So, all right, welcome back,
Yeah, I'm
Adetokunbo.
fine.
So, so that's one of the weakness of technology. So you go ahead and you
Maybe
explain the
last night
other
I
things.
got home very late. I think I got home around 2 this morning. So I'll look at
Okay,
it
I
this
guess you
morning.
need to mute.
But I'm just
Okay, all right. So yeah, if you are hearing me, Adetokunbo, you will need to unmute yourself if you want to speak. So yeah, okay, we're
hello,
hearing your
sir.
background. Yes. Okay,
Hello.
so yeah, I can hear you very well. Do you want to go? Are you set?
I don't know unless if I talk from your screen.
Oh, beautiful. Then I can go ahead and share my screen. So you let me. So you'll be providing the guide for me. Let me share my screen, and then you speak from there.
Just share your screen. I'm also
Okay,
trying
I'm
to
doing
join
that.
from.
Okay, that will help. Can you see my screen? Yes. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I guess you can just continue from here. I'll just handle
Okay.
access. So you can go ahead. And then you just tell me
Okay.
next.
Okay. 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 All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My sincere apologies for joining this late. I had some technical issues, as Mr. Tari has rightly said, and but nevertheless, we just hope that we're going to be able to make the best use of the time. Nevertheless, I still believe that there are still some things that are necessary for us to get as takeaway even in this in this live session. I want to believe that Mr. Stephen has said a whole lot in the course of his welcoming speech and trying to tell us what the things that we need to do in order for us to be successful in the forthcoming diet. And let me just say that this is not our usual live diet class. Of course, we know that our live diet class will come when the examination is fast approaching, but we just deemed it fit to have this session because like he said, I think I had it when he was actually saying it before the network logged me out, that there are times when students come and say, oh, this was what I thought the examiner meant, but lo and behold, this was what I did. And because of that, the examiner cannot see our mind. I mean, he doesn't know what we have in mind to say. All he knows is that this is what I expect this student to say or to write. And once we are not writing that, then he believes that we automatically don't know the question. Meanwhile, some of us, we probably have read it, but just that we don't know that that is what the examiner is trying to ask us. And because of that, we give a wrong impression to the examiner, and as a result of that, we don't get our full mark. So that is why we've thought it wise that it's important for us to just kind to have an expository session with us, and of course to see what, when we say what is the examiner trying to say. When you hear the word assess, when you hear the word explain, when you hear the word analyze, what does the examiner really expect you to do? There are times when I mean, I have come across students when they will tell me when they say list, and then you see students start explaining, start writing detailed vocabulary. Meanwhile, what they expect them is just a summary form of what you are being told to do. And that is why that's why we're organizing this session, like I said initially. So let me just pick it up from where Mr. Stevens stopped in terms of assess. When you hear the word assess, what are you expected to do? So the exam requirement, this entails determining the strength and weakness, importance, significance to the given question. When you hear the assess, you can look at it vis-a-vis trying to, the examiner is not saying that the concept is bad. The examiner is not telling you to tell us the demerit of the concept, but you are meant to look at it. What are the strengths? What are the weakness? For instance, maybe you are looking at, okay, I'm thinking of going to work today, or maybe you are now looking at it vis-a-vis working from home. What are the advantages of going to work? If I go to work, I will incur more on transportation. But meanwhile, if I work from home, I don't have to stress myself. I don't have to face the traffic hurdles and all of those things. So you are assessing the importance. You are looking at it, the significance, and then what do I stand to gain? If I decide to work from home, okay, let's say I won't have to interact with my colleagues. That facial expression will not be there. There are some things I want to get from my colleagues. I won't be able to get it at the tip of the finger. So as a result of that, you are looking at it. Okay, this thing has advantage. It has disadvantage, and that is what they are trying to say when they say you should access. So most times when students hear the word access, they just focus on one part of the section instead of looking at it holistically to say that what is it that the examiner is really trying to say in whole sum. And so we have an exam type question here. We said technology is one of the critical features of the 21st century. Assess the impact of technology on businesses, especially in the underdeveloped community. When students hear questions like this, most times what they do is to look at the advantages, is to look at what technology is doing before and what technology is not doing again. No, and that is why most times students are shocked by the time they see the pathfinder for the diet and they are looking at this lengthy solution. They look at but this examiner just asked us to assess. So where is this lengthy solution coming from? And then lo and behold, they've forgotten that when you hear the word assess, they are telling you what is the advantage of technology, what is the disadvantage. Of course, the advantage is that, like he said when I joined, we don't have to leave the comfort of our homes to get into this webinar session. Everybody can join from the comfort of their home. But what is the disadvantage? What are the weaknesses? You will agree with me that if this had been a physical session, maybe we would have even started earlier than this, because we don't have to be struggling with internet and all of those things. But lo and
Yes.
behold, it has its good side, it has its advantage, and it also has the disadvantage. So maybe when you now hear the word access, you might not now want to put a summary at the end to say that, okay, having mentioned the advantage, having mentioned disadvantage, then okay, in your own word, what do you think about technology, so to say? So that is what we mean when you hear the word assess, and that is how to answer it holistically. So analyze. When you hear the word analyze, what happened? Exam requirement. This entails breaking the question into separate parts. Ensure you discuss and interpret each part, and lastly, relate the exam question to the scenario provided. I think I used to say this well often than known, especially when I am teaching CSME, that one of the strategy of passing CSME is your ability to relate the concept to the question itself. Don't just don't jump straight to the question. So now you have had to say, for instance, phase two analysis, and maybe they say you should explain the concept, analyze the concept of phase two analysis. Of course, you know that when you talk about phase two analysis, we are looking at the political environment, the ecological environment, the social environment, technological environment, and all of those. So you don't just jump into the question straight. The first thing when you hear the word analyze, you try to break it down step by step. What does political environment mean? What does ecological environment mean? What does social environment, what is it talking about? And all of those things down to legal environment. It is after you have been able to do all these things, then that is when you can now link it to the question. Most times when you hear the word analyze, most times it comes in a case study scenario where you are given a case study scenario, and then the examiner is telling you to analyze the impact, analyze the effect of PESTO analysis on the case scenario above. So if you look at the example that we put here, we said Tolulokpe has decided to establish his business in Makoko community because of its nearness to water as demanded by the nature of the business. However, the community landlords are not in support of this establishment because of the environmental pollution caused by the similar business in years back. So maybe because of their experiences. So you are required to analyze the scenario above, taking into consideration the position of Tolulokpe and the community landlords as a stakeholder. So now this is something you can use pestle analysis to explain. You can just say, okay, now, and when you say pestle analysis, let me also mention here that you don't have to pick the whole concept. So maybe what you just want to pick there is just the social part of pestle analysis. So maybe you can just pick the social part, just one of the concepts of social. Anyway, one of the concepts of pestle analysis is the impact of is the social effect it has on the environment at large. Then you now come back. So after saying that, after you have defined it, then you now come back to the question. In the case of Tolulokpe, A, B, C, D are what is expected of her. These are the things that she can do. This will be the solution. So with that, you have been able to, so you are not just analyzing the scenario itself, but rather you have linked it to what pestle analysis is saying, and there is a sync between the concept and what the question is saying in particular. So that is analysis. Next slide, sir.
Okay. So if you are just joining us, please so we can acknowledge you. You can please put your
Okay,
name in
so
the
yeah,
comments
let's know you. Let's
and
know
where
where
you
you
are
are joining
joining
us
us from.
from.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, so the next one talks about calculate. When you hear the word calculate, yeah, more often than not, you don't get to hear this word in CSME, but lo and behold, there are times when you say, okay, so let's look at this. So when you hear the word calculate, what does it mean? When you hear the word calculate, it means that this entails computing using mathematical process or determining the value of an outcome. So most time in CSME, I mean, students are even so confident that they even to the exam all without going with a calculator. This is good because, of course, you know that you don't have to calculate. But I remember then when I was writing my ICAN, even when my colleagues then they will be telling me that, guy, we don't need to go with a calculator, but I will still tell them that, what if something happened? What if the examiner wakes up on the wrong side of the bed and decides to bring something on calculation? But lo and behold, you don't need calculation. That is just the truth. You don't need to calculate anything as far as the syllabus is concerned. But in case you hear it, maybe not for CSME, maybe for other papers. Sorry,
Okay.
just a
We
second.
can hear you.
Okay, let me continue from here. Okay, so
Okay.
maybe not just for. So let's look at this exam type question. He said that he said plate was doubled. Plate was doubled the age of her first daughter when she celebrates her 40th birthday. How old is her daughter if plate is now 75? So this one is just asking us to calculate.
Sorry,
Sorry,
one
1 minute.
minute. Let
Let
me
me
just
just correct
correct
this.
this.
Okay. Is there anything you want to change?
I think this is better, right?
Okay, yes.
All right. Yeah. So I had to join with another. So you may stop sharing, sir. So it's fine.
Okay.
Okay. So
I should stop sharing?
yes, so that I can share from here.
Okay, that's fine. All right, I've stopped sharing now.
Okay.
Okay. Are you there? You have
Yes,
hang?
I'm here. Can
Okay.
you hear me?
I can hear you. You can go ahead and share now. Or should I
Okay.
continue the sharing so that we can save time?
You should see my screen already. Can you?
No. So if you click on turn on turn screen share on, and
Mm,
then you select either entire screen, and then you pick
Okay.
then you now go
I've
and
done all
click.
this.
Yeah, I'm still seeing you. You have not shared.
Okay.
Shall I go ahead and share because it will give the same effect,
Effect, Abi.
so we can save time.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Okay,
I don't
so
know why
let
I'm
me
having issue
continue.
sharing.
Yeah, let me continue. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, I can.
Okay, all right. So you can just continue. It's the same
Okay. It's the same effect. Okay,
effect.
no problem. Okay, so the last thing I mentioned was calculate, and I said that when you are asked to calculate, of course, that one might actually mean you having to punch your calculator, having to see what some numbers are saying. So, and that is what it means when they said you should calculate. When they say you should calculate. So then the next one talks about comments. Comments. Sorry, just to confirm, sir, can people see your screen?
Sure. If
Okay,
you can
okay.
see it, then they can.
I can. That's what I'm asking. It's just giving me as if a pop-up, but I want to believe everybody else can see your screen. So maybe
Yes,
it's
they can.
just,
Once you can
yeah.
see it, then that's what every other person has seen.
Okay, okay, that's fine.
Yes, yes. Go ahead, please. So if
Okay,
you can see the screen, please just say yes, I can see your screen.
okay, yeah. I think that's better.
The
Please let's know if you
comments
can see what's projected on the screen. Just comment
in the
to
chat
say that
box,
you can
please.
see what's on the
Yes, caller have
screen.
given us that feedback. Caller say
All
yes, he
right.
can see it. Please go
Okay,
ahead.
okay, great, great. Okay, so we're talking about comment. I said that the next thing we have to talk about is comment. When they say you should comment, what does it mean? The exam requirement says that you should comment. This entails including an explanation, illustration, or criticism in your answer. This is most times comes this happens when at the end of the solution. So maybe you are given a case study or scenario, and then the examiner asks you to comment. Most times what they're expecting you to do is that after everything, after all said and done, after all your analysis, what do you think will happen? Most times they do this as a bonus question. It can come at the end, maybe after a question. So let's say you have question 2, they've given you a very long case study, and after that you now have, say, question 2b. They now tell you, based on what happened in question A, based on your answer, what will be your comment. That is where they want to test your professional expertise. I used to tell people that ICAN is not just testing the theoretical aspects of you. We want to know how professional are you. How can you apply your skills to the issues and challenges that you come about in the professional world or settings. So, and that is why we have questions like this that talks about comments. When you have the comment session, whenever they tell you comment, you have the opportunity to express your own idea, your own thoughts. What do you feel about the issue at hand? That is what it means by comment. So the next one now talks about compare. I believe that's the next one, compare. Here, the exam requirement, this entails explaining the similarities and differences. Don't forget when we were initially talking about, when we talk about the first one, where we had to talk about, was it analyze? Yes. When we talk about analyzing, sorry, assessing, I meant to say, when we're talking about assessing, remember we said that assessing is not just talking about one side of the coin. We have to look at the both sides. Similarly, also, when you are asked to compare. So now, but when you are comparing, you are comparing one concept to another. For instance, I'm saying, what do you think? Do you think butter is preferable than Bama? To Bama, do you think that going to the Bar Beach is better than you going to Eco Atlantic? So you are comparing two things. You are comparing two concepts. You are looking at two things vis-a-vis and now expressing your own opinion. That is what it means to compare. So when you are comparing, you are not just looking at one side, you are looking at the similarities. You are looking at the differences. So looking at it, okay, let's say maybe you are looking at Bar Beach, and also you are looking at Lekki Conservative Center. Those two, what are the difference? They are different because what you see there, you won't say the same thing. Maybe you might come across water when you go to Lekki Conservative, and also when you get to beach. So you are looking at these things vis-a-vis, you are looking at it simultaneously. What are the similarities and what are the differences? So example type question here, you say that pestle analysis and Potter's diamond can both be used as a business to analyze a business. Yes, I mean, I'm sure that if you look at your pathfinders, you definitely come across questions that tells you to analyze a situation using pestle analysis. You will also come across questions that tell you to analyze a situation using Potter's diamond. These two concepts are used to analyze the success or otherwise of a business. And then what I can now tell you to compare is that looking at these two concepts, what do you think about them? what are their similarities, what are their differences. So don't just focus. So when you are given this kind of question, don't just, please be careful not to focus on one segment alone. So what happens to students most times is that because they see pestle analysis, they look at, oh, I think I know that pestle analysis very well. So they end up focusing on pestle analysis and ignoring the Potter's diamond. So most times, and as a result of that, you are being graded on both. Examiner will not grade you on pestle analysis alone, but your ability to interpret what both concepts means, your ability to compare them and tell us where the differences most especially is coming from. So that is what we said. And if you look at it, when I said required, I said you are meant to compare and contrast the two models, stating the perks and the loopholes of each of them. So when you are asked to compare, don't just write a 2 lines answer. No, you won't go with that. You are expected to explain it. What do you mean by pestle first? What do you mean by Potter's diamond? What are their similarities? What are their differences? If you can give them a bullet point, that will also be beautiful. Next slide, sir. Now,
Yeah, our because of time, so I think we have how many minutes more? 20 minutes more. So
okay,
just to inform you, go ahead, please.
okay, 20 minutes more. Okay, okay, okay. So I will. Sorry, just a second. Okay. All right. So for conclusion, exam requirement, what are the things? So when you hear the word conclusion, what should you do? It means that it entails ending your answer well in a case scenario. So like I said, one of the way, yeah, I used to also say this to students, that when you are writing CSME is a way of preparing yourself for what the final exam what is expected of you when you get to the final stage. And of course, one of the things that you cannot do away without in case study is reports writing. So when you are writing a report, one of the things that is important for you to take note is your concluding aspect, which is your concluding part. And so when you hear conclusion in ICAN exam, especially CSME, what is expected of you is you are expected to end your case well. So based on everything you have said, you've gone to the northwest and south. What is the conclusion of the old matter? What would be, so if you are hearing conclusion, it is similar to say when you are hearing summary. When you hear the word summary, when you hear the word summarize, what is the essence of everything that you have said? And that is what is meant by conclusion. So exam type question is for you to end there. After your recommended your recommendation, then comes your conclusion. What is the conclusion? What do you think can be done? Yes, you've said your own, you have recommended, you have analyzed, you have tell us the issue in the case study. Then what do you now think should be done? That's your recommendation. Then you now have your conclusion. Then criticize. When you hear the word criticize, what does it mean? Exam requirement. This entails analyzing a situation to identify all the weaknesses, the problems that exist. Note the word here, criticize. There is nothing good. You are not meant to mention any advantage, any strength. Don't talk about strength here. Don't talk about opportunities. So make sure you are focusing on the weakness. You are focusing on the problem. You are focusing on why that concept is not good. For instance, maybe they tell you that pestle. So exam type question here, I have pestle is a vital tool in analyzing a business model. However, it has been criticized by some scholars. Discuss some of this criticism. Don't tell us anything good about pestle. That will be your key point there. When you are asked to divine, what does it mean? This entails giving meaning to a question. Ensure you keep it short and relevant. Divination means you going straight to the point. And when you are divining, I used to say this, as much as possible, try not to repeat that concept. So they say you should define corporate governance. Be careful not to repeat that corporate governance in your definition. So you have to make sure that you understand how to use word synonyms. You should be able to use word synonyms. Even when you have to repeat that concept, you can look for a word that is similar to it and just use it in place of mentioning that word itself in the definition. Next slide, sir.
Okay, done.
Describe. Describe. Exam requirement. What does it mean when you ask to describe? This entails giving a detailed account of qualities or features. So exam type question, let's say AAA model. AA means advanced audit and assurance. Is a concept of
Sorry, we lost you there.
AAA. Of course, you know it.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. We can hear you now.
You can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, you can go ahead. Yeah, if you can
Okay.
just
So
maintain
I
your
said that when you hear
position.
the word
Yeah, if you can just maintain your position without touching anything, it will flow like that. Yeah, you can go ahead, please.
like this.
Yes, it's fine this way. Just continue without
Okay.
editing or moving any other thing so that it can run smoothly.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
back to you.
Okay, so I was talking about describing, and what
Yeah.
I said was that when you are asked to describe, you are mentioning. So, for instance, the exam type question here is saying that Association of American Accounting Model is one of the model in corporate governance. So, you are asked to describe the pre-conventional concept of the model. When you are asked to describe here, is similar to you saying that give us a look. When we see it, how does it look like? It's just as if somebody that has not been to somebody that has not traveled before, and you are now asked to describe, how do I know that I have entered Ibadan? If I get to Ibadan, what are the things that I'm going to see? So maybe you are going to say, okay, you are going to see something like what is the name of this man in Ibadan?
Guru
So this
Maharaji, Guru.
Exactly, Guru Maharaji. You said that, okay, whenever you see Guru Maharaji on your right hand side, you should know that you are approaching Ibadan. Maybe you've gotten to Ibadan. Maybe when you've gotten to the toll gates end of Ibadan. That, so you know all those. So you are giving us how the place looks like. What are those things? What are the things I can see in Ibadan that when I get there, maybe you are saying that you can get a transportation of as cheap as 15 naira in Ibadan, but not in Lagos. So when I get a transportation of 15 naira, I know that this place definitely. So if even somebody that has not gotten there before, once the person sees that features, the person can easily say that this is where this man was trying to describe. So when you hear the word describe, you are giving us a bullet point of how the concept looks like. What is the concept preaching? What are the things that the concept is trying to explain? Of course, when you hear the word discuss, what does it mean? Discuss the concept of linear growth model. This one is a story. You have to write the story. Where does the concept emanated from, and what are the things that we need to note from the concept? Evaluate. Exam requirement. This entails determining the scenario in the light of the argument for and against. Ensure you mention evidence and support. Sorry, ensure you mention evidence to support your evaluation. Yeah, very important. When you are evaluating, learn to give examples. One of that is the difference between this one and analyzing. When you are analyzing, you might not really need to give examples, but when you are evaluating, it is important that you give substantial examples. Next slide. Explain. Explain. When you have to explain, what does it mean? This entails making the answer clear and supporting it with enough detail that are relevant, concise, and explanatory with examples. Remember, one of the things that is important for both explaining and when you are evaluating is examples. You have to give enough examples to support what you are saying. For instance, now they can tell you to explain the concept, your understanding of Tara framework. When you hear that, what does that mean? You have to tell us everything you know about Tara. Tara, of course, you know is a concept. What does the T mean? And then what are the examples of transferring risk, which stands for T? When you are asked to state, what does it mean? It means that explaining by focusing on the exact point. When you are stating, it's just that I used to call it explaining in summary. You have to put them in bullet points. You don't have to write all the stories, just in bullet point. This is what it says. And of course, when you are asked to list, what does listing means? Listing means that you don't have to explain there, just list the concept and move on. Most times, don't say because you know I know these things. For instance, they say you should list 10 type of risk. You don't have to start explaining each type of risk because you know them. Just mention them, market risk and all of those risks. Just mention them and move on. It's the same thing as saying mention the type of risk that is known to you. Because of our time, next slide, sir.
And it's better to itemize them, isn't it, when you are asked to
Yeah,
list?
exactly. So they can so instead of using the word list, they can tell you itemize 10 type of risk known to you. So they might want to use, so that's why I said you have to be conversant with word synonyms, know how to use your words properly. They might not use list, they might use itemize. So
Yeah.
you should be able to know that list is what they are referring to.
All right.
Next
So,
slide.
Angela, if you are not hearing us, you can please refresh your browser. So, if any of you is not hearing, just refresh and then you'll be able to come up. It could be internet challenge. So, next slide
Okay.
has been put up. Go ahead, please.
Okay, outline. So before we look at effective time management, let us look at outline. What do they mean when they say you should outline? So this entails explaining the highlighted point stated. So for instance, let's look at this exam type question. It said a company's directors are appointed by the shareholders to manage the company. You are required to outline 5 circumstances that may disqualify a director from office. When you are asked to outline, just have it at the back of your mind that you are making a sentence. You are making a sentence. When you say outline, just say, for instance, if you know the point, fine. You can say maybe one of the points is one of the things that can disqualify. Maybe you say lack of integrity, for instance. You can say bullet point one, lack of integrity, and then you just tell us something, maybe like 2 sentences about lack of integrity. With that, you have successfully outlined. So it depends on the number. At times they will tell you the number, the how many they want you to outline. In this question, they said 5 circumstances. But if they don't give you number, if they didn't mention, they just say just highlight or just outline the circumstances. Please, just as I used to say in our class, don't mention less than 5. Don't mention less than 5. It is important. Unless if you don't have up to 5 for that particular scenario that you are dealing with. When they say prepare, what does it mean? It said this entails setting out a response using an appropriate format that suits the situation at hand. It is usually found in case study scenario. It is similar to drafting a report based on a particular scenario given. Prepare simply means that maybe they say you should come up with a report or something. Then when you are asked to recommend, I think I've mentioned that briefly when I was talking about conclusion. Recommendation is telling us that give us your expertise view. So let's say you are a consultant and we have come to you. What would you advise us to do? What would be your recommendation in this scenario? We're having this challenge. So that's why I said ICAN is not just theoretical. We want you to be able to think outside the box, be able to give us your own opinion. What is your idea? Not just what you've read in the book. You should be able to apply it to life scenarios, challenges. That is one of the aim of writing this exam. So quickly, I want to move to time management before Mr. Stephen comes up to tell us one or two things. Effective time management, sir.
Yeah.
So how should you manage your time? Most times, so I said it, so let's look at the first one, the structure of the examination paper. So for the structure of the examination paper, the syllabus will be assessed in 3 hours of paper plus 15 minutes of reading time. So the question will be in 2 sections as follows. So now this is based on what we have currently, based on what the current syllabus is saying. So if the syllabus change, there might be 1 or 2 changes to some of these things. But as we speak, this is what the syllabus is saying. So section A will be 40 marks, and usually it will be a long question. It will be a test. It is testing your critical thinking skills and ability to draft a good report. And of course, the question will be drawn from different sections of the syllabus. Section B, on the other hand, section B will be 5 questions of 20 marks each. Sorry, just a minute. Section B will be 5 questions of 20 marks each, out of which candidates will be expected to attempt 3 questions. So the 5 questions will come from all the 4 sections of the syllabus. And when we mean 4 sections, we mean risk management, corporate governance, strategy, and of course ethics. Those are the 4 sections of the syllabus, and you will have 5 questions of 20 marks each. So with that, of course, you know that you are meant to attempt just 3, which give you 60 marks, and of course section A give you 40 marks, making it 100 in total. So, and that is how it should be. So section A will be compulsory. You may not know section A. Like I used to tell students, don't waste your time on it. There should be time allocation. Your section B, go make sure you attempt it as well. But what you should do is that don't leave section A without attempting it. So even if it's to write something, make sure, so far they said it is compulsory. That means you have to attempt it. You may not be able to say everything about it, but just make sure that you are able to say 1 or 2 things about what they are asking you for. It is very, very important for you to go with. Even if you've answered your section B very well, if you don't touch section A, you might be penalized for it. So next slide, sir. Then, so let's see. Of course, we talk about the structure. Okay, your approach to timing, I've said it that you have to, your approach to planning your time in the exam is essential to complete the exam and to ensure the best use of the time available. Instruction is key. Make sure you read your instruction very well preceding the question. Don't assume that you know what ICAN will ask for each section. And of course, this is very, very important. Then scanning. You can scan through the question paper to see if there are any questions that you, maybe the ones that you easily know. And once you know that, make sure you jot them down so that by the time you finish answering the compulsory question or anyone, you can easily come back to them. Then I've said that don't waste too much time on the question. If you don't know it, please move on to the next one and leave enough space. I'm going to leave that. Mr. Tayo will talk extensively on that. Leave enough space for answering questions you are not familiar with or you don't remember at that moment, so you can come back to it. Don't waste time on it because you are trying to buy time or to get more marks. So maybe I should pause here. I don't know if Mr. Stephen will just take it up from here. I know I still have about 4 more slides, but I'm looking at my time, sir.
No, go ahead with the slides. Go ahead with the 4 slides you have.
Okay.
Maximizing mark, right?
Yes, maximizing mark. So how do you maximize your mark? Now, over time, so these are examiners' comments. Over time, when we look at the Pathfinder and see why what happened, what is going on, why is it that our students are not getting as much as we would have expected them to get in the exam. So and one of the feedbacks that we've gotten is the fact that candidates are advised to read ICAN study text properly. Most times, yes, you see reference materials are good, and that's why we used to recommend even at Starry Good, our video lectures as much as possible. We make sure that they are coming out from these ICAN packs that ICAN is releasing every diet when the syllabus is changing. So it is important for students, don't just leave your ICAN study text because you have other relevant materials. These materials are good, they are fantastic, they are well thought of, but it is important that you also look at that ICAN. At times, ICAN can be so funny such that they pick the question directly without changing anything. It might even be examples. If you look at the ICAN parts that we have with you, we don't have much exercise. We have majority of what we have there are examples. So they can just leave the examples the way it is, and then just but if you are not conversant with it, there is no way you'll be able to answer the question. So candidates' major pitfall was their shallow
Let me
understanding.
add to that before you go ahead. So
Okay, sir.
the ICAN pack particularly, you'll find out that at the end of the ICAN pack, there are some questions that they put there. So what we have helped students do, also remember that those questions do not have solutions. So we have extracted all those questions there and solved them and added them to our video lecture. So then the ICAN pack, usually they are voluminous in nature if you look at them. So what we have done is to summarize what we have there into those video lectures that we make available to students. So if you don't have those video lectures, we're going to tell you how to get them at the end of this presentation today. So we encourage you to go through the video lecture at least 2 times before the exam. Then you now use your ICAN pack as a backup. With that, you'll be sure that you have covered extensively. All right, over to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, having said that, candidates are advised to study the topics more deeply through the ICAN study text. They are advised to answer case study questions in a more structured approach. Of course, the structured approach is what I have trying to explain. That's one of the reasons why we took our time to go over what each concept is trying to say. When you hear something, what are they telling you? What are you expected to do for each case study? So, and it is important, these are what the examiners has observed in the course of
Yes.
the diet. So,
Yes,
exam questions.
I want
Okay,
to
sir.
add something before you go out there. I mean, before you continue that, candidates are advised to answer case study question in a more structured approach. Yes, that
Okay,
is
sir.
true. If you look at the Pathfinder, you find out that sometimes the Pathfinder is a summary and there's a disclaimer on the Pathfinder.
Yeah.
I can say, well, this Pathfinder, I can take no responsibility for the solution that are provided there. In other words, you cannot say that this is ICANN solution. So what we have
Mm-hmm.
done is to provide that structure approach in our question and answer video. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
be giving more detail, but just to chip that in, we have more than 12 diets. Is it 12? Yeah, more than 12 diets, if I'm not mistaken, from 2014 till date when the new syllabus came into effect. We have every diet question recorded so that you can see the structured approach that the examiner is looking for here. All right, over to you.
Okay. Okay. All right. Even the it's not even only even the study pack that we even read. It is there. If you look at the front page, one of the things that you will see is the disclaimer. There's always a disclaimer for for everything I can write. So they will always tell us that this thing that you've read, it is not it is as a result of one thing, maybe as a result of the material that it was sourced for and all of those things.
Yes.
So it is just
And
for you
that
to
they
know
take
that
no responsibility for any error or
exactly.
anything. So even when you quote it in the exam and it's a wrong, and it's wrong, then they will still not be responsible for that.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
So,
Go
exam question, make sure you read the instructions carefully. Like I said, don't assume that you know. Don't assume
Yes.
that you know. Take your time to read the questions, read the
Yeah.
instructions, and be as brief as possible while stating
Yeah.
the main point.
Yeah.
Be brief as much as you can while you are stating the main point, and don't write. I used to make this about people that don't don't write ICANN exam as if you are signing documents. Make sure that your answers are legible and
Yeah.
they are neat. So make sure that your answers are legible and the examiners is able to read it very well. It is important. And also choose your questions
So, no,
carefully.
sorry, before you go, it means make it easier for the examiner to pass you. Because when you make your, when you go to
To
the
read.
hospital, you see the way doctor write prescription. I don't know whether, I think somebody said they are specially trained. When they write prescription, it's
Mm,
only another doctor or pharmacist that will understand you. That's not how you want to write your answers to the examiner. Because the examiner, what he cannot read, what he doesn't understand, if you are not legible enough, you cannot assume what he can read. You can't assume that
mhm.
you know it. They will just cross out your answer and move on. So,
Answers.
and it means that you made it too simple for them. They just cancel and just they are paid per the number of script
Yeah,
that
the
they
number of script that they are able to
uh,
mark.
so so they want to mark as many as possible. So if you are very illegible, you don't write properly, you make it easy for them to just say, okay, this one is even an easy one. Something they should take 30 minutes to mark, they just mark it in 5 minutes because you are not clear enough. I mean, you are not legible, you are not neat. Everything is just muddled up. So you want to avoid that. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so choose questions carefully. What this one means is majorly saying that make sure that the questions that you are choosing are the one you are well familiar with. Don't second guess. This one I know A, I don't know B. So make sure that you choose the one and be careful enough to look at the allocated marks to each question. So make sure that the questions that you are choosing is that has that make sure that the marks that are allocated to it be careful when you are choosing your questions. That is what we're saying in essence. Be careful when you are choosing your questions. Don't look at, don't, at times when you have, let's say you have 2A, 2B, 2C, and you now see 2A that carries 3 marks. Maybe you are familiar with that. Maybe you are asked to define a concept and you know that concept so well. So quickly you just jump at it and then you now define that concept. Meanwhile, 2B is now telling you to explain a framework. Maybe you are asked to explain Tara framework and you've not even come across this Tara before. And lo and behold, this Tara framework carries 10 marks. And because you know the first one that says divine ethics, and you have rushed into the definition of ethics that carry just 3 marks, and meanwhile there's a 10 mark that is at stake for you. So because of that,
You have no idea about.
exactly, and you have no idea about what the 10 marks is saying, lo and behold, you might end up just losing that entire question. And meanwhile, like I said, unlike before, where you have options at your foundational stage, this one, each question carries 20 marks, and you can't afford to joke with it. So if you know you are not sure of that 10 marks question, just go to the one that has 5 marks each. Answer your 5 marks. You can be sure that even if you don't get the whole 5 marks in each subsection, you get 3. So if you have 3, 3, 3, 3, that's about 12, as against you losing the entire 10 marks because you know just a subsection. So I just thought it's important for me to give clarity to that. So general review, read the instruction as there is no one size fits all in attempting ICAN question. All questions do come with their dynamism. All questions are dynamic, so to say. So be careful to read them very well, understand what the examiner is trying to say, and like I said, choose your questions carefully. So at this point, before Mr. Attire comes in, I don't know if anybody has any question. Let's take question, comments. We have been talking since. It's good we hear from our participants.
So let's give a clap for emotion reaction to Adetokunbo for the brilliant presentation. So let's see it in your comment section. Give a comment there, feedback. Yes, if you are happy, let us know. How far has this session gone? Are you happy with us? Are you liking what we are saying? Are you resonating with them? Let's get a reaction from you. All right, so while we're waiting for that reaction, let me come up with the next slide that we'll be looking at. Okay, so what we'll be looking at next is, please let me know if you are seeing my screen, but while we're waiting for the reaction. Okay, caller, thanks so much for the emoji. Is the only caller that is in the class? Where are others? We can see quite a number of people here. So let's hear your reaction, please. Yeah. So like Adetokunbo was saying, this is a typical CSME question in the exam. This is May diet, May 2021 diet. So the Institute of Chartered Accountant of Nigeria skill level examination, May 2021, CSME, that is Corporate Strategy Management and Ethics. Time allowed is 3 hours, 3 1/4 hours, which means 3 hours 15 minutes. For those who are doing this exam for the first time, this is the instruction you might meet. However, when you get to the exam hall, make sure you read the instruction. Don't assume that the instruction you are seeing here is what you will see over there. Esther, thank you very much. Benga, thank you for your reaction. We really appreciate that. Now, so because we'll finish in the next just a few minutes from now. So the instruction here says you are required to answer 4 out of 6 questions in this paper. Then it says section 1 compulsory question. Now, section 1 carries 4 marks and it says it's compulsory. So if you don't attempt section 1 at all, then it means that you'll be answering the other one. You can't answer section 2, which has 5 questions. You can't answer the 4 from there. If you answer 4 from there, the examiner will pick only 3, and then they will give you 0 for this very one. All right, I hope that is clear. So we should take note of that. Now, in the exam hall, you see you are given 15 minutes to read. What brilliant students do? Brilliant one, no. I'm not one of them. But what brilliant students do is they start going through the body of the question. No, you should not do that. You shouldn't do that. Because brilliant students don't necessarily pass the exam. So it's most time average student pass, because the average student listens to instruction and they don't want to be overbearing by being overconfident. Like I said at the introduction, many students leave the exam, or some they come back and say, look, I wrote everything and yet I still fail. I wrote everything in that exam. So it could very likely mean that you didn't follow the instruction. And it could very likely mean that you didn't follow all the verbs that Adetokunbo explained earlier. That is a requirement. So the first thing you do with your 15-mark question is to skip question 1 completely because it's compulsory. You skip it within that 15 minutes and go to question 2. Yeah, in your question 2, the first thing you want to do, you don't want to read the body of the question. You want to read the requirement. So that's the first thing you want to do, as I highlighted them on the screen here. So you go to A and B, and you can see that question 2 is 20 mark. So from question 2, question 3, 4, and 5, and 6 are 20 mark each, and you are expected to answer only 4 from this session. So out of these 5, you want to see, no, you are expected to answer only 3, pardon me, just 3. So out of those 5, you want to see which one are you going to go with. That's what you are doing with your 15 mark, right? So here is saying review the question above with the context of the role of a risk manager. So this particular one is talking about risk. So if you are familiar with risk, then you can tick it that this is one of the questions you are going to look at. Then you go to the next question. So rather than reading through all of this, you just come to the requirements again. Here is telling you advise him on how he can use his voting right as a shareholder to secure his investment, limitation to the use of his voting right. So you know that what this place is talking about here, yes, the issue of corporate governance comes in here. Yeah, and then you want to be sure that the responsibility of shareholders, your limitations, and all the rest. If you are very familiar with that, you tick that and know that this is one of the questions you want to look at. But like Adetokunbo mentioned earlier, if you can answer the A parts, right, and you jump into answering it without reading the B parts, here is saying using the History of Chartered Secretary and Administrators Guideline Note, explain responsibility of Board of Directors that should not be delegated. If you have not read this one, right, which carries 10 mark, and you go ahead and answer A, you finish answering A before you now know that you have no idea about responsibility of Board of Director, then you find out that you have not done well. That's why you use your 15 minutes to read the requirement. Once you read the requirement, you tick the one you are more conversant with, and then you come back and say, okay, out of these 5, I'm conversant with these 3, or I'm conversant with the entire 5, but I'm not going to answer the entire 5, because if you do, then there is a risk. There are some students that will go and answer the entire 5 questions in session 2 and in session B, and allow the examiner to choose the best for them. What do examiner do? From the feedback we got, so if you answer all the 5 in session B, they will pick the best 2 that you have and they will cross it out. That means they will cancel it and leave the worst 3 that you have. So because you have not followed the instructions say answer any 4. Number 1 is compulsory, then take 3 from session 2. But some people, they do as a bit, I know too much, right? Because the thing will just be shacking them. You understand? They understand case study very well, and they want to show that they know it. They want to even win prize, right? They go ahead and answer everything. And when they come out of the exam, or they don't understand why they were expecting maybe 90% and they got 50. Thank God that they even escaped by getting 50. So if you don't follow the instruction, it's going to be a problem. Okay, so I haven't said that. I move on to share another screen of mine. Yeah. So here now, I'm trying to share what your exam script might look like. So like Adetokunbo said earlier on, you don't have to start with question 1. You don't have to start with question 1. So this is how, if you go into the exam, or let's say you come to question 3 here, this is question 3. You have decided that you are going to answer question 3, which is telling you here to advise your friends how he can use his voting right as a shareholder to secure his investment. You are very confident about that, right? So this is 3A. So you come to your answer sheet, and assuming this is your answer sheet, you can see what I put here, 3A. Now, if you start writing, you come down here, you continue in the next sheet as 3A continue. Now, one thing you must never do is that once you finish 3A here, right? Don't start 3B in the same sheet that you have 3A. Don't come here and start 3B. No, don't do that. The reason is that, you see, when you stop at 3A here, right? When you stop at 3A here and you continue, sometime when you finish your exam and you are reading through your answers, then you now realize that there are still more that you want to provide. So, and if you end here with your 3A and you have started 3B here, you find out that you can't continue writing between 3A and 3B. So you should not write the sub answer on the same sheet. So rather, what should you do? You come to a new sheet here. This is 3B. So 3B starts on its own new sheet, and then 3B continue. If you have anything else to write, you go to 3C. 3C starts on a new sheet here, and you continue the 3C in the next page if you still have something to write. And if you have nothing to write, it isn't bad if you leave that space, assuming that what you want to write here ends here at the end of the sheet, right? It ends at the end of the sheet. Then it's still wise for you to come here and put 3C continue and leave this place blank before you go to 3D. Why? Just like I explained earlier, when you write and you continue writing, right? And you come to 3C and you come to the end of the sheet and you have written everything you want to write. What if an idea flash your mind later on and you want to add to this point? Then you find out that if you didn't leave a space here, then you won't have a place to put that. All right. So, and then you continue your 3C here, you continue 3D, 3D continue, and so on and so forth. So you don't have to start them chronologically. You can see from this sheet here, I'm going back. So here, if I were to start this, if I'm to start question 3 here, right? If that's what I'm going to start first, then I go to my answer sheet, and you see that that's what I have here. Question 3A, question 3A continue, 3B, 3B continue, 3C, 3C continue, 3D, 3D continue. Then maybe the next one I want to answer is question 5. And so start with the easiest question that you have. That's what we call getting the easiest mark. So this question 5 here, as we can see here, it has A, B, and C, right? And each of them carry 5 marks each. I'm wondering if question 4 here, 1, 2, 3, then that should be 15 marks. Anyway, maybe, I don't know if we have seen what I'm seeing. And it says everything here is 20 marks. So what is the examiner looking for here that they didn't highlight? It might be your presentation, because remember here is 5 marks, this B is 5 marks, and this one is 5 marks, making 20 marks. So there's a 5 mark bonus that the examiner will give somewhere in between here. So if you want to answer question 5, you go back to your answer sheet. We are not answering this, like I said. You see here, I have 5A, you go to 5B, 5A continue. Then you go to 5B, 5B continue, 5C, 5C continue. And then before you go to another one. So I don't know if that is clear. If there's 5D, you also give the 5D, 5D continue, and so on. So you can see the way I label my sheets here, they don't actually follow each other. Then that's one point we must note. Then I want to also note that the exam is 3 hours, right? The exam is 3 hours, which means if we multiply it by 60 minutes, that will give us 180 minutes. And remember that the exam is 100 mark, 100%. So it therefore means that 180 mark divided by 100 gives us 1.8 minutes. You must not spend more than 1.8 minutes on any question. Or if it is a 10-minute question, you must not spend more than 18 minutes. So in any of the question, once you find out that you are spending more than 18 minutes, anything you are writing at that time, you have to move on. So if it is 18 minutes you must spend, it therefore means that any of these questions, you must not spend more than 36 minutes on them once it's a 20-mark question. So if you are doing number 5 and you are already spending 1 hour on that, then whatever you are writing, there's a principle of diminishing return. Once you have spent the first 18 minutes, anything you are writing after that, you won't the mark you will get, right, will be diminishing. So if you are trying to score 20 marks and you have already written for 18 minutes, right, be sure that you will get 15 marks. It is good that you leave it where you have stopped and go and start a new question where you can get more mark easily. Adetokunbo, are you there? You give me the feedback just for me to be sure I'm not the one talking to myself. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, he has left. All right. So please give me a feedback there if you can answer me. Can I answer question one compulsory at the end of other question? Yes, Angela. Like I said here, you don't have to. It can be the last you answer. You don't have to answer them chronologically. You can start with question number 6, then you go to question number 2, then you go to question number 4, and then you now stop with question number 1. But just be aware that question number 1 is very, very compulsory. Thank you, Aziz. So the webinar is very, very insightful. So that is the explanation here. Remember that there is 3 hours you have, which is 60 minutes. 3 hours times 60 minutes is 480 hours. So you don't spend more than 10 minutes for any 10 mark question. You don't spend more than 18 minutes, and vice versa. So this question that is telling us question 1 that is 40 mark. So how many minutes should you spend? 40 mark is 18 minutes times 4. As you can see on the screen here, is 72 minutes. 72 minutes is 1 hour 12 minutes. So you must not spend more than 1 hour 12 minutes on question 1 anytime you are solving that question. Give me a reaction in the comment box if this is helpful. Yeah, I need your reaction just to be sure I am not talking to myself here. So this 40 mark. So anytime you want to now come and answer the case study 40 mark, then you read through the requirement first. That is how you must always go and answer the question. Always read the requirement first before you go to the body of the question. So most students, they will first read all of this only to realize that they are not going to answer that question because they don't have the information, they don't have the knowledge. No, don't do that. All right, Grace, thanks so much for your feedback, which I appreciate. All right, having said that, I'll be waiting for your question while I go back to share my slide. So now, I want to speak particularly regarding our video lecture for those who don't have it. So, like the Adetokunbo said earlier, that you should use ICAN pack. But if you look at ICAN pack for case study, it's very voluminous. One of the mistakes that students do is that they carry ICAN pack, they keep it. Then they go and look for workouts, corporate finance. So they go and look out for this. I don't want to mention any book so that I don't discredit any author. All the books, ICAN pack and all the authors are all very good books. I must confirm that. So, but the problem you have is the problem of being overwhelmed. When you go and carry all of this material for case study and you put them there, sometimes 5,000 pages, and you have only 3 months to the exam, then you start panicking. And yet you want to write 4 papers. And then you start sweating. Before you know it, you are confused, you are not coordinated, you start, and you have to go to work. For many people, you are even a nursing mom. You are even taking care of children. You are taking care of your husband. You are taking care of your family. For others, you are a manager. You are taking care of subordinates in the office. So it can be very overwhelming. So the research that we did that makes us shut down our tuition center. We used to run physical classes before. For those of you who don't know, we shut it down. The research that we did was that if you have only 8 hours to study, only 8 hours, and you go for physical class, right? What you will cover in 8 hours, if you study using video lecture, it will take you 2 hours to cover what you will cover in the lecture hall. What will take you 8 hours, then you cover it in 2 hours using the video lectures. Why? The reason is that when you are in the exam hall, when you are in the lecture center, the lecturer sometimes try to crack joke so that to make sure you are there. Sometimes they are answering somebody's question when you have already understood what they are saying. not everybody learn at the same time, right? So those slow learner will be dragging everybody down, and the lecturer cannot ignore them because why? They all paid for the lectures. So when we did all this research, we found out that this is the problem that students are having. Then we found out that those who got our video lecture as far back as 2010, when we started, 2010, we were the one that pioneered this innovation in Nigeria. In fact, in Africa, we pioneered it, the training and using of video lectures for exam. We now found out that the student who gets our video lecture pass the exam easily. Why those who don't, they struggle? Why? We started doing our survey. We found out that those who who come for physical class, once you miss a physical class, no lecturer will go and repeat what they have done, and you can share. Most of us have that experience if they have attended physical class. I'm not saying physical class is bad. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that once you miss it, nobody is going to repeat the class that have been done. And most time, you can't borrow the notes of your colleague. Of course, you either go and do Ranzaros by photocopying it. So most time you travel because of your job, and you need the job. You need the job to pay for your bills, because some people say it's my job, I hate my job. No, you can't hate the job. It's the job that is even helping you to pay for your ICAN. You have to love the job. So when we found out that those who got the video lecture, when they travel in their hotel room in the evening or in the morning, they go through the video before they go to their assignment. So when the result come out, they pass. Whereas those who register for a lecture, some of them pass, but the majority of them fail. And if you go around tuition centers, you'll find out that the majority of the students fail. Only few pass. Whereas when we did the analysis, we found out that about 80% of our students that get our video lecture pass the exam. About 80%. And we found out why again. The reason is that if you go through videos or anything over and over and over, after some time, that thing will start playing back in your mind. For instance, music. If there are some music you don't like, if you sit down there and they are talking about that music, singing it, and you sit down, you are listening to that music over and over. After a while, when you are alone, the music will start playing back to your mind. If you've had that experience before, please share that in the comment section. Share that in the comment section if you have had that experience. You are listening to a music, you don't like the music, you are uncomfortable about it, but after a while, the music will start playing back to you. So that is a psychological effect. That means anything you are seeing and hearing goes into your subconscious mind. It's the same thing when you listen to the video lecture. Based on the recommendation we gave, we say go through it at least 2 times before the exam, at least 2 times, including the past questions that we have solved there, including the ICAN pack question. ICAN pack, we pick ICAN pack, extract all the question there, and put it inside the video. If you go through it at least 2 times, then if you now have time, add ICAN pack, add books from other authors, and then add any other thing you want to add. So if you follow that prescription, you are going to pass. Why? Because this webinar we have done now is lasting a little bit above 2 hours. If we have to transcribe what Adetokunbo and myself have been saying, if we have to transcribe them by typing them out, there will be more than maybe 70 pages. You see? But what you have absorbed in 2 hours of listening to us and watching us is far bigger than if you sit down and reading it on your own. Remember that when you are reading, after 30 minutes, you need to stretch, you need to get up and do something. But in this webinar now, I don't know if anybody have left. I've been checking the statistics. You find out that as it is engaging, you are getting absorbed. Hopefully you are not getting tired. Like I am not, because I'm enjoying it. And I believe Adetokunbo will give the same answer, that he's not also getting bored. So this is the aspect that video comes in. So we have the material already in case you don't have the video lecture. And if you have the video lecture, I've already given the prescription of how you will go through that, right? Make sure you concentrate on it. Most students will put the video as in one corner and start piling textbooks. You make the textbook your last resort. Go through the video twice at least. Why? You would have saved enough time. Then you can now start going through textbooks, right? for any other things you need to add. So if you want to get a video lecture, the numbers are on the screen. Make sure you write them down. Send a WhatsApp, send a text message, or call those numbers. So if you call those numbers and nobody is speaking, maybe you called at the odd time, maybe we have closed, send a WhatsApp. We'll definitely respond back to you. We'll give you all the information on getting the video lectures and so on. And not only that, when you get this video lecture, we have the Telegram class. Like Adetokunbo is telling us that I tell my students. Where does he tell his student? Of course, we have a Telegram class where he meets with his students every week, right? And answer questions, give them additional assignments, give them tips, give them lectures in addition to the video lecture, and it's free. It's free. So that's not all you will get. You will also get from us not only the lecture video, you get the lecture video, you get the question and answer video, and you get the question and answers of the ICAN pack. So those are three things you are getting for the price of one. So in case you are pressed for time, you want to go for you want to take your annual leave and then go for intensive study. We used to run intensive study before, and we will run it for 1 week. After the third day, people started breaking down and falling sick, so that even the exam they were preparing for becomes a problem, because the stress level of compressing 3 months, 6 months study into 1 week is enormous. And our brain is designed to only absorb information per time. So and that's why unless you have done the exam before, you are doing revision. That's when you can go for intensive. If you are using intensive as your first start, you are most likely going to fail the exam. So I will advise you, whether you are going for physical classes, whether you are going for intensive, whatever, augment it also with video lecture. All right. So I'll go into the question and answer. So Esther here say, all right, let me just look through this question. Benga, sir, you just revealed bonus mark. Question 5 mark, and examiner wants us to get 20 mark. Yes. You see, if you don't look at it very well, then you will not know. So like I told us here, there are bonus mark the examiner can just throw at you from what we saw in that question. All right, let me also go on and say, in such case, what can we do? So if they are, well, I don't know, in the case that you are talking about, Grace, you might throw more light into the case you want me to look at. Benga say, can we use ACCA solution notes to answer ICAN? Well, I will not say no, you shouldn't, if the questions are similar and the same, right? But take notes. If you are using ACCA solution and the case study, for instance, let me use tax, and the tax is a UK tax law, and you are now using, because the question says you should do 1 year assessment for the sole trader, right? And you are using ACCA answers. Remember that we have the UK law is different from the Nigerian law. So make sure that there are no peculiarity if you want to use that. But like I would recommend, use our own video lecture, the question and answer that we have given. And why did I say that? If you look at the pathfinders, sometimes there are errors in those pathfinders. So when we are solving them, we identify those errors and we spot them. If you have been using Pathfinder long enough, you'll find out that there are errors there. Maybe it's typo error. And I can use to give disclaimer that they don't have responsibility, that the solution in the Pathfinder are those of the contributors, and they are not necessarily the position of ICAN. So, but we go through those questions, we solve them the way the examiner will want them, and that should be helpful. I hope I answered that. In such case, what do we do? I want to assume that I don't really know what Grace is talking about. Okay, I mean to answer. Okay, I think I've answered the Benga. Then Esther, it says, for people that are working, combined with 30 days challenge, how can one cope? Is it that you don't need to take down notes or watch the video over and over again? Now, let me explain the 30 days challenge that Esther is talking about here. If you are working, if you go through the 30 days challenge, if you don't have time, because you see, if you don't have time for the exam, make sure you don't do 4 papers. if you are very busy at work, then don't go and do 4 papers at a sitting or 6 papers at a sitting. It's better you do 1 or 2 that you can pass, because when you pass the exam, you'll be encouraged. But when you go and register for 6 papers and you fail everything, the devastation is much, because it's a lot of waste. It's waste first when you spend that kind of money and it's all gone. So I would not advise you to do 6 papers. If you know you are very busy at work, I would say do 1 or 2 per diet, right? They said slow and steady win the race. So back to the 30 days challenge. See, what we did with this 30 days challenge is that we pick the entire video lecture. Remember that we make the video lecture, we do our best to make sure it covers the entire syllabus. We cannot say 100% that it covers the entire syllabus 100%, because there are contemporary issues that ICAN may want to test now. For instance, the election is coming up, and it might come up in PSCF or any other papers if it has to do with funding of election and all the rest. So, and there are just some laws that are coming up now. ICAN may just want to test some contemporary issue. So those may be the exception that we are looking at. Now, back to what I was saying earlier on. So remember that the video lecture will try as much as possible to cover the entire syllabus. So that's why we say start with that. So having done that, we now break everything into 30 days, which means if you give 2 hours per day, you should be able to, and you do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? Monday to Friday, 2 hours per day, we give you 5 hours. Saturday and Sunday, you extract 5 hours each if you don't work on Saturday and Sunday. That is 5 hours on Saturday, 5 hours on Sunday. That gives us 10 hours. So remember, Monday to Friday is 5 hours, is 2 hours each, making 10. Saturday and Sunday is 5 each, making 10 also. So in 1 week, you would have extracted 20 hours of study. In 1 month, you would have extracted how many? 80 hours. Remember, I told you earlier on that if you use video to study, you are 4 times ahead of those who are going to classes, right? It means, therefore, that you have enormous time at your disposal. So if you use the video lecture and the 30 days challenge and you follow it, even if you are not catching up, just follow it. If you can take note, take note. If you cannot take note, follow, listen to it attentively. If we finish the first 30 days challenge, we are repeating it. We hope to do it at least 3 times before the exam, so that you can go through the video lecture at least 2 or 3 times. Now, if you are in traffic, go through the challenge. If you are during break, go through the challenge. Or anytime you are less busy, put the video lecture, if it is the Android version, put it in your ear and make sure nobody else, just the same way you listen and watch a YouTube video, and go through it. So I hope I answered your question, Esther. I hope I answered that question. So if you do that, you would have gone through the video over and over. Then when you are going through it the second time, like when you are going through music the second time, after some time, you start reciting what the musician wants to say next. It's the same thing. After some time, you understand the concept and you can say what the lecturer wants to say next. And when you get to the exam hall, you start hearing the lecturer reading the answer to you, like some student told us before. Now let me go. Grace say, busy taking care of family and business. Yes, like I told you earlier, Grace, family and business are part of our life. We can't put them on hold because we are doing ICAN. So if you know you are very, very busy and you want to be chartered, then take ICAN serious as well. So just do 1 paper or at most 2 papers at a go. Don't overstress yourself so that you can make progress. That's why we answered that. Usman, how often is the video lecture updated as new laws come up? Yes, we update them every diet. I think I answered that. Every diet, we go ahead and update them. So how often do the video get updated as new laws come up? We update them every diet, because once the diet is over, we go through them again. If there are new things that need to be added, we add them. And as we get feedback from you, our students, we take those feedback and we go ahead and update them. All right. Is there any question like this? If you check your screen, you call this number, you contact this number if you need the video lectures, right? So the replay of this is available. So you can share this with your friends. We want every student to pass this exam. And then lastly, one other things I want to share with us before I go. So I'll stop sharing my screen now and then go and share this before I call it. I mean, I'm not stopping the screen share, but uh, I want to just show us something here. So remember that the question here says attempts, attempts. Now I want to say something here before I go. It say you are required. It's not that, look at this now. You are required. It's a requirement to answer 4 out of 6, right? Then, and number one is compulsory. So now let's go here. Let's assume that you are in the exam hall, right? And time have run out. So you have to answer 4 questions. You have only answered 3. And the fourth one, you know it, but you have not even, no time to start. Then go to that sheet, open your this thing and write there. If the next one was number 4, write there 4A and write the requirement there. You have already attempted it. Don't leave any question unattempted. And I'll give us one story that informed me of what I said before we go. One of our lecturer, when I was doing my exam, then I qualified many years ago, like I said, he told us, he said, always attempt the number that you are asked to attempt. And he gave us this explanation. He said there was one of his colleagues that was a marker. When that colleague, I remember that those who are marking, they are paid per script that they mark. So that guy has finished marking the set of questions that he was given. So he decided to join others. But when he joined them, he decided, and I want to say this, an examiner is, a marker is only allowed to mark only one question. In other words, the person that will be marking question 1 will only mark question 1 throughout. The person that will mark question 2 will mark question 2 throughout. The person that will mark question 3 will mark question 3 throughout. The same thing go for question 4, 5, and 6. As at the last time, if my information is not wrong, if that has changed, we will update that later. So what it means, therefore, that no one marker can make you pass or fail a question, because it can only mark only one question. It can't mark 1 or 2 or 3. So no one person can make you fail or pass the exam, right? So now let me go back to my question. So somebody now went ahead. When he finished marking those questions, he now went ahead and checked he wants to join his colleague to start marking another one. So he now picked that question and now decided to solve the answer. So the solution he got was different from the marking scheme. Don't quote me anywhere. Oh, this is what my lecturer told me, right? I'm not there to verify it. I'm not saying that I can. I'm not trying to castigate ICAN. I'm just giving us reality of life. Reality of life. All right. So he now found out that the answer is getting is different from the one that is in the answer scheme. He brought the attention of the chief examiner in, that is a marker. And then they all looked at it and found out that he was right. And then they looked at, they have already marked 2,000 scripts. And you remember that ICAN result must be released at certain date. There's a time council must meet and approve it. That timetable is sacrosanct, is fixed, because council member will travel from all over the nation or even all over the world to converge where they will mark that answer. Where they will approve the result. So it's sacrosanct. So they now realize that time has gone, but this marker was right. He has detected that the question was faulty. So they now came together and decided that, okay, what we will do is that anybody that attempted that question, give them full mark. So all the people that attempted that particular question and the 2,000 script, they gave them everything. They gave them the mark. They gave them full mark. And all the other people that attempted. So it means, therefore, that Even if it is just, if the question was 4A and you wrote 4A, right? See 4A on my sheet here. Okay, you may not see 4A on my, you may see it or you may not see it. And then you wrote
I can
maybe
see
just
it.
the requirement. You have attempted it. And with that, you will get full mark. Then the examiner, I closed this with this. He said, the person that they got to our script, right, and discovered that error, do you think that person have two head? The person must have been praying, because if this marker did not detect that error, right, they would have marked the whole script with the wrong marking scheme. And it means that everybody would have failed that particular question, whereas it was a question that was faulty. So, like I said, this is not to castigate ICAN. You know, it is just to bring out the things that happen behind the scene so that you can be aware. All right, I go back again. All right, sir. You just say, Benga say, I bought your video lecture in 2018, sir. There will still be one pin device. Yeah. So, Benga, please contact our support. If you have any issue with your video lecture, we'll be glad to listen to you. We'll be glad to solve any problem that you have regarding them. So, please share this link with your friends. We want them to come and see these tips that we have shared, right? We want them to have it, whether you buy a video lecture or not. We want you to pass, right? The economy is so hard. We don't want you to pay for lecture and fail the exam. We don't want you to buy our video lecture and fail the exam. We want you to pass. So this is our own contribution to making sure you pass. So the replay will be available. Share the link with everybody that you know, and then let them come up. So Ade Tokumba, I don't know if you have any final words to give to our students before
Hello, sir. Can you hear
I
me?
quit. Yes, I can hear
Can
you. Any
okay.
final word?
Thank you very much. You've said so much. Even there are some questions I was looking up. I was looking at attempting answering in the chat box, but I think you've just done justice to everything, and that's a good one. I must say thank you, sir, for always coming through. And I want to say to our student also, like he has rightly said, please. There's no one size fits all. Make sure you deploy all your means. And like we said, and let me just emphasize that is worthy of emphasizing. The ideal is not that we are here maybe to market our video lectures or anything. The idea behind it is to ensure that you pass your exam. But to passing it is why you need these video lectures that we're talking about. And of course, your icon packs, don't do away with them. They are very essential. And all the recommended texts, we're not trying to say that they are not good, but just is that you have to complement your readings. Of course, you all agree with me that packs are not sufficient enough for you to pass your exam, especially when you are talking about ICAN. So this will be my final words. Please let's spread this link. Let people get to hear this. Let them come and hear these live sessions, and let this be our contribution as a center to students passing their exam. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. And of course, we'll see you again later in the evening.
Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.